A couple of people have asked me what my recommendations are for pity pool picks, so here they are. Now I'm only going to be picking 5 gold characters and 5 diamond characters because I could seriously be here all day talking about all the different characters that I really like and the reasons that you should use them. So let's go ahead and get right into it. First off, Pickleballer. Pickleballer is an awesome support character because he can give your characters evasion, regen, and precision on top of giving your characters blockbuster meter. Because of this, he's an incredible support character and pretty much always a good fit for any team. Speaking of support characters, we also have Surgeon General. Now, Valentine already has supportive abilities on her own, like the ability to revive your party and grant them final stand. And with Surgeon General, you're also getting heavy regen and immunity. Now, it does take 30 seconds for those buffs to kick in, but when they do kick in, they are super helpful. Next, we have Indomitable. Now, Indomitable is awesome because she can give herself Deadeye, steal opponents' buffs, and give herself stacks of miasma on top of that. There are a lot of places where thorns can be a huge pain, like let's say No Mercy, Area 3, but with Deadeye, you will not have to worry about thorns whatsoever. Now, the only downside to this character is that you unfortunately have to knock the enemy down to less than 80% of their health in order to actually get Deadeye. And if you get knocked down, you actually lose Deadeye, which kind of sucks. Plus, getting Deadeye again is actually really annoying because it really only happens once you knock the enemy down to less than 80%, and if you lose Deadeye after that's already happened, then you have to wait until the next character comes out or until this character heals back to above 80% health to get Deadeye back. It's a whole thing. Listen, aside from all of that, Indomitable is awesome. She is extremely good, and I love her. And also, she can get Deadeye from other sources, and her ability will still activate, so there's that too. Oh, and not only does Deadeye counter thorns, but it also counters unflinching and auto block, making Indomitable all the more amazing. Next, we have Windswept. So Windswept is really awesome because she's able to give herself evasion and also give herself permanent precision. Permanent precision is an awesome buff if you're going up against opponents whose ability activates upon being hit. And that's because precision hits do not trigger signature abilities. So if you're fighting against somebody like, let's say, Deathwish, and you're trying not to trigger her ability that revives her teammates, as long as you defeat her with a precision hit, her ability is not going to activate. Now, setting up Windswept to actually get permanent precision can be a little tricky sometimes, but once you get it, it is so awesome. Alright, the last gold fighter I'm going to talk about is Grin Reaper. Now, Grin Reaper is awesome because she can inflict inverse polarity, which is an extremely useful debuff against specific opponents. For example, Black Dahlia if she has no time to die, even more specifically Unholy Host who's constantly draining your health if you're cursed. People like that are constantly regaining their health, inverse polarity is great against them. Because of course inverse polarity makes it so any health regen that you would get lowers your health instead. And with Grin Reaper, inverse polarity is extremely easy to apply. All it requires is someone using a blockbuster. Another reason Grin Reaper is so awesome is that whenever she defeats an opponent, she gets a mortuary charge, which is awesome because that means you don't even have to charge up your mortuary charge, you can just get it on defeating an opponent, which also means that you can destroy the opponent's body pretty much immediately. And if you're able to destroy those bodies, the enemy cannot bring them back to life. So yeah, overall Grin Reaper is super awesome. And I highly recommend her for No Mercy, by the way. Okay, for diamond characters, we're just gonna start with the most obvious one, Deathwish. Deathwish can steal buffs, inflict hex, and she can revive your party. Is there anything else that can be said about that? She is awesome. Because she's able to steal buffs and inflict hex, she's basically good against every variant. Like, I don't really think there's an opponent that Deathwish is bad against. At most, she's maybe neutral against them, but for the most part, she's really good against everybody. So yeah, highly recommend getting Deathwish. Okay, next we have a character that I don't even have, but I know she's good just because of the way her ability works, Unholy Host. So Unholy Host's ability makes it so she's able to curse the enemy, either with her tagging in or the enemy tagging in while she's the active fighter. Cursing the enemy right off the bat is already really helpful, but on top of that, she's able to drain their health as long as they're cursed. Now, this ability is super powerful on its own, and while I've never actually used Unholy Host, I have been very frustrated dealing with her, so I can only imagine how powerful she is when you're the one in control. I know before I said I was only going to talk about 5 golds and 5 diamonds, but I'm going to break that rule, so yeah. Okay, the next characters I should say that I'm going to talk about are Ogre Achiever and Standout. So Ogre Achiever and Standout both have an ability that, as far as I know, is unique to them, and their ability makes it so they can prevent enemy buffs from happening. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're going up against somebody like Black Dahlia who has no time to die. If you trigger her no time to die and she's supposed to get regen, there's a chance that Ogre Achiever or Standout will actually prevent that regen from applying. So of course this is incredibly useful, especially against variants that rely on buffs. So yeah, buff prevention is pretty amazing. Now, of course, Standout and Ogre Achiever have their own set of abilities that is, of course, extremely useful, but I'm not going to get into that because I mainly just wanted to highlight the whole buff prevention aspect. Next, we're going to talk about Apex Complex. Now, Apex Complex is one of my favorite diamonds to use because she can dish out so much damage. The way her ability works is if you can hit the enemy with a dash attack, you can inflict Curse on them, as well as give Apex Complex haste. And whenever Apex Complex is near the opponent while she's benefiting from haste, the enemy takes damage equal to 5% of their health every couple of seconds, which just further increases the amount of damage she's able to dish out. So yeah, Apex Complex is awesome, because as I said, she can curse the enemy and she can deal an insane amount of damage very quickly. Okay, finally, I'm going to talk about Starshine. Now, Starshine is a controversial character in so much as that a lot of people say she sucks. I love her, so of course I'm going to talk about her because I want to represent. Okay, so Starshine is awesome because she's able to get permanent precision, which is an incredibly useful buff, because like I said before, precision hits make it so the enemy's abilities that would be activated upon being hit are not activated. Now, on top of that, she's also able to give herself stacks of blessing and a timerless immunity, which is of course super useful in certain situations. Now, back to permanent precision. Permanent precision also goes really well with Annie's moveset, because Annie has a move called Destruction Pillar, which has an ability that makes it so whenever you get a critical hit with Destruction Pillar, you deal an additional amount of the opponent's health on top of the damage that you're already dealing. And this extra amount of damage goes up to 10%. And when I say percent, I do mean a percent of the enemy's health, meaning it has absolutely nothing to do with the attack stat or any stats on Annie's side. And it has everything to do with the amount of health the opponent has. So even if you use Destruction Pillar and let's say your attack did 0 damage, as long as that hit is a critical hit, the enemy is still going to lose a percent of their health. This also bypasses some of the nonsense that you have to deal with in No Mercy, since there's a match modifier that makes it so your damage is actually capped at a certain percent. I hope that explanation made sense. But yeah, Starshine is awesome. I don't care what anybody says. I love her so much. Okay, we have one last minute addition. Apparently, even though she's still in the Shard Exchange, you can pick Mad Malice as a pity pool pick. I have no idea how that works, but anyways, Mad Malice is actually really awesome because not only can she give herself permanent precision, but she can also give Enrage to her teammates. Basically, the way it works is, as long as Mad Malice is alive, any teammate that gets a critical hit has a chance of gaining a stack of Enrage, which is a very simple ability, but also an extremely helpful one. Alright, those are all my recommendations. Obviously, there's a ton of variants out there that I didn't even mention. These recommendations are mainly characters that I find really useful, and I find that it's good to just have them around, either because they're just useful in generally all areas, or they have a specific use that's good against certain opponents. And I'm not saying these characters are like the best or anything like that, but these are characters that I really like and think can be extremely useful. But with that being said, let me know what characters you guys recommend for pity pool picks, and whether or not you disagree or agree with the people that I picked.